Okay. The reason
This meeting is being recorded.
the reason that I did those exercises with you this morning is it's a kind of a test. It's a kind of a test for you, but it's also a kind of a test for me. Really. I need to know, have I given you enough practice exercises? Have I explained well enough how to do those evaluations, those things, And I'm blessed. I think you did very well. Yes, it is a test for you too. I can't say that you are competent to go and train people if you can't do that. So you need to know that you are able to do that. You need to know. I also need to know that you are able to do that. And the good news is that I'm comfortable. I think that if a leader just spends a little bit of time with an Alwazi, who doesn't understand English as well as the rest of you, I think that she will also manage. I think there's just a language problem. But for the rest, I'm very happy. I am blessed. I'm grateful to God because despite all of the load shedding and the interruptions and everything, you look like you know that you could do this if you wanted to. You might not want to, but if you want to help somebody, you'll be able to help them. Do you agree with me? How do you feel about that? Thank you, Kwanamus. I just think it's good for us all to be confident. It's good for us, Thanks, Siavonga. Yeah. So what I'd like us to do now, in the time that we've got available, and I'll record it for Slee, and I'll give her a link to the recording, is let's have a look at where we left off when we had to break off yesterday. Just briefly, what we did was we asked the question, why are we here? I'm sure you remember. We said, why are we here? What are we doing here this week together? Why are we on this course? And we said that we all want to be clear, we want to be confident that we've got the right tools to go and help other people. So we want to establish how best to provide effective training for our clients. And in the simplest English, the very simplest way we can say that is, are these the right tools? Will they help us to help the other people that we want to help? And then we started looking, and then we had to break off, remember? We said, how do we understand these words? Effective, efficient. And we had some discussion about that, and we started to unpack it. And we said, these are different words. They're not the same. They sort of sound the same, but they're not the same. An interesting thing about these two words is that when things are not going well in an organization, it doesn't matter what kind of organization. It might be a training NGO. You might be talking about a company that sells socks. You might be talking about a church. A church is an organization. You might be talking about a government department. You might be talking about the country. You might be talking about the ANC. Imagine if you were the head of the ANC today, you would have to say that you would be worried. Why would you be worried? Well, it doesn't feel like things are going so well. There are people in the organization who are being accused of corruption, but they're not yet being dealt with in courts. Some other people are having to go to court. Ace Magashule is not on the NEC anymore because, he's in court. He's in trouble. He's in trouble with the police. And now our president is also in trouble. So if you were in the ANC, if you were the head of one of the heads of the ANC, you would be worried now. And then you would start having imbizos. You would start having discussions. You would start having meetings. I've been in churches where things have not been going well, and then they have a meeting. And the interesting thing, it's very interesting, when you have those meetings, you will find that people talk a lot about how can we be more efficient? How can we be more efficient? But they don't talk very much about how can we be more effective. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason. Think about, I use the ANC as an example, not because I'm for the ANC or against the ANC. It's just a good example, and we all understand what I'm talking about. There was a man called Oliver Tambo. He was the head of the ANC in the 1950s and 1960s. He was one of the founders of the ANC. And he was the one who started talking about the new constitution that we need for the country, new way of governing the country, etc., etc. When people meet today, because things are not going well in that organization, they don't want to do things differently to the way that Oliver Tambo spoke about in the 1950s. It's almost as if that is the Bible. You can't change it. You've got to stick to that. So the discussion always goes around, how can we be more efficient? How can we spend less money? How can we check up on the people who are trying to be corrupt? How can we make things, how can we spend our time better? But they don't say, should we be doing different things? Because that's the difference between these two things. Being effective has to do with direction. Are we going in the right direction? It's the responsibility of leadership to help us to go in the right direction. Being efficient has to do with the speed, the strategy, the cost effectiveness. How do we use our time? How do we use our money? How can we do things better? Efficient has to do with management. How can we get there? Now, look at those two words. And in a simple 3-word description, you can say efficient is about doing things right. Effective is about doing the right things. Now ask yourself, which one is more important? And you know what? They are both important, but they both need to come together. I'm so sorry, I'm on my own here and the doorbell is ringing and the dog is barking. So I need 2 minutes just to answer that and I'll come back. Please forgive me, excuse me, I'll be right back. Hello, I'm so sorry about that. I am back. Are you all there still? I apologize, hey? Hello, you all there? Spatty, you there? Thank you. Which one's more important? Efficient or effective? Do you see that it's possible that you can do things right? You can be very efficient, but maybe you're doing the wrong things. It's possible. Imagine you leave Ulundi, or let's say Pietermaritzburg. Let's take a big place. You drive. You've got a car. Somebody's actually giving you a new BMW, a beautiful car. Okay. Now you want to go to Durban. So you get on the road and you drive and you're listening to the music and the car's got air conditioning. It's wonderful. The car is very efficient. It's being serviced. Everything's working well. And then you get to Harrismith and you stop for coffee. You go to the Wimpy there and you have a cup of coffee, and now you're going to go and you keep driving. You're supposed to go to Durban. You want to go to Durban. But now you leave Harrismith and you keep driving. And if you drive long enough, you actually reach Johannesburg. Now, you could say, but that's silly. Why didn't you get to Durban? What's the answer? Why didn't you get to Durban? Tell me, somebody. You wanted to go to Durban, but now you're in Joburg. What's the reason?
You lost the direction.
You went the wrong direction. You went the wrong direction. Can you blame your car for that? Can you say that this BMW is not a good motor car? It is inefficient? The fuel consumption is not good? No. You went the wrong direction. Sometimes organizations go in the wrong direction. Sometimes churches are still doing the same thing in the same way that they were doing 60, 70, 100 years ago, and people are bored. People are not interested. But when they say, let us try to get more people, they have discussions about how can we do things better? How can we do things better? And meanwhile, they should be saying, is there something else that we should be doing? Should we be doing different things? Hello, does that make sense? Maybe an organization like ANC, IFP even, should be doing different things, and then they would get more support. Maybe they should be putting people in position who have got the right skill, instead of just putting cadres in position. It's weird. You could actually have somebody who is, I don't know, for example, he could be the Minister of Health, but he doesn't know anything about medicine. Could be the Minister of Police, but he's never been a policeman. Be the Minister of Transport, but he knows nothing about roads or about transport. And it doesn't help to say that person must become more efficient. They just don't have the skills. They are just the wrong people in the wrong positions. So we are here to say, does this course, this Micro-MBA course, is this a tool, an effective tool for helping people to run their small businesses? If people were to go through these workbooks, whether they go through them, the printed workbooks, or they go through it on the mobile app, doesn't matter which one they use. If people go through the workbooks and they do what the workbooks say, and if they've got a facilitator who cares for them, who could help them to make the right decision, like that lady who was selling the tracksuits. Question that we try to answer and that you should be answering is this a good tool? Is this effective? Is this something that would help other people improve or start their own small businesses? What do you think? Is it? Would you be going the wrong way, as Siyabonga said, as Velile said? Would you be going the wrong way if you used micro-MBA principles, if you use these skills to help other people with their businesses? Because if you're going the right way, then you can say, you know what, I must go and practice those exercises some more. I must go and make sure that I've got everything well organized, that I understand exactly how to do the money management so that I can be efficient while I'm being effective. I hope I'm making sense. But if it's the wrong thing, if I don't believe that this course is the right course to help people with, then there's no point in practicing those exercises. Then there's no point in understanding the money management better. Then there's no point in anything like that. Does this make sense to you? Efficient versus effective. Anybody? Thank you. Thanks, Siyabonga. Let's continue. Listen to this. It's not working. Why is it not working? Never mind. People in South Africa today, I believe, would say to you and to me, if we asked them, they would say, opportunity is nowhere. There are no jobs for people. There's not enough money. Our roads are in a terrible state. There's load shedding that gets in the way of everything that we want to do. The opportunity is nowhere. That's what people believe. If we have got an effective tool, if you were to believe, if you do believe that this micro-MBA course could really make a difference in the lives of people, then you can go to somebody who's believing that opportunity is nowhere, and you can help them to change their thinking so that they don't think any longer that it's nowhere. They can start believing that opportunity is now here. Now you can see it's a small difference in the way you put the letters and the way you write the word down, but the meaning is exactly the opposite. What has changed? What has changed is the way that you think about it. You understand that there is now an opportunity here where I could learn to run my own business instead of waiting for a job. And maybe I can start getting excited about that. That opportunity is now here, that here is the chance for me to be my own boss. If I am my own boss, nobody else can retrench me. If I am my own boss, I would not have to ask for time off tomorrow to do what I want to do. I would give myself permission to do that. I've been my own boss for a long time, at least since 1987. Before that, I did other things where I was my own boss too. But in this thing, I've been my own boss since 90. That's a long time, eh? That's 35 years. And I don't want to be employed by anybody else, even though I get broke every now and again. Even though it's difficult when there's no orders, when there's no income, when there's no money. It's still better. I still prefer to be my own boss. And I can look at this and say, at least there's an opportunity for me to do something. Opportunity is now here. Can I have you ask you just to turn on your videos if you can for a moment, please? Turn on your videos. Let me see your faces. Thank you. I don't want to see your ceiling there, Spatty. Let me rather see you. That's much better, much nicer looking at you than looking at the ceiling. Okay. Put your hands out like you can see on the picture. Put your hand, literally, do it in front of you to get an idea of what I'm talking about. Just put both your hands out like this and imagine that you are standing at the side of the road or you're standing at a robot somewhere and you're standing like this. What are you saying? What are you saying when you stand like that? Say hello. Come on, what are you saying? Give me, please. I need some money. I want to feed my family. I want some food. Yes, you see many people standing like that. Now, when you have an effective tool to offer people, when you have something that you believe in yourself, if you don't believe in yourself, don't use it. But if you believe in it yourself, if you think that it's given you some new skills, some new understanding of business, then you can go to somebody whose whole attitude, whose whole life is, I am waiting for somebody to give me something. I'm waiting for government to give me a job, to give me a house, to give me land. I'm waiting for somebody to rescue me. You can go to somebody like that and you can say, you know what, in this course, we turn our hands over. Can you see? You're standing like this, now you turn your hand over. What does that feel like when you turn your hands over like that? Can you see that now you're taking charge? You're not saying, Phil, somebody else must put something in my hands. You are saying, no, I am deciding to turn my hands over and to take charge, to take responsibility. Can you see the difference? Now, it's quite a small movement, isn't it? It's a small change to go from this to this. That's quite small. Anybody can do that. But in your mind, that is huge. Instead of in your mind saying, oh, I wish somebody would give me something. Please give me some money. Please give me some food. I'm waiting, I'm waiting, I'm waiting. Instead of that, now you're saying, you know what? I'm doing something for myself. So I must find a gap. I must look for a gap. I must look for it. I must find something that I can sell. I must find out, is there somebody who needs what I'm going to offer? And I turn my hands over and I'm taking charge. Isn't that a simple thing? Isn't it wonderful that we can help people like that? It really is. More than 210,000 people have been through the Micro-MBA course. And many of them are people who haven't got the same education that you've got. Many of them, even less education. But you know what? 80% of them have ended up running successful businesses. And that for me is such a blessing. To know that people have been helped, that there are children who are eating because their parents did the Micro-MBA course. You look at a picture and you think you see the whole picture. When you first look at this, I think you probably see a face. But as it comes closer, as you look more closely, you see mountains and you see horses and you see a bird. And sometimes when you say this course, you say, well, that's just a course. But as you understand more, as you learn to do these exercises, as you learn more about the money management, it opens up and you say, wow, you know, this can really help me. This can make a difference in my life. And maybe if I if I share it with other people, it can make a difference in their life too. Don't worry about this. This is just me being fancy. Quo vadis is a Latin. Quo vadis, it just means so where to. Where are we going from here? Where are we going from here? What direction do we want to go? And you know, when you are working with other people in an organization, you are wanting everybody to go in the same direction. Now, one of the useful tools that we've got in Micro-MBA is some videos. And the videos are on that Google Drive. You all have said now that you've got your invitations. If you haven't got an invitation in your Gmail account yet, if you haven't got one, please let me know so that I can send it to you again. Look in your spam folder in case it's in there, but follow the link and you will find that there's some very useful tools on there. Amongst them, there are some videos, and I want to play the second part. Do you remember I showed you a video called Find the Gap? I'm sure you remember that. Yeah? Now, I want to show you a video which you could share with people, maybe after you've had your discussions with them, after they've been through the course. Because this video doesn't say find the gap. This video says, take the gap. Take the gap. In other words, you've got the skills, you've got the tools, you've got the idea, you've found a gap. Now take the gap, go and do it. Let's have a look. I'll play it for you and you can tell me what you think.
Make it your business. 2, 1, 2, that's the what you're gonna do. Yeah, yeah. Be all about it, that's the what you're gonna do. Yeah, you gotta do. Yeah. Do you get You can. Now get out there and do it.
Brothers and sisters, now you know what you are going to do and how to do it. What can I say? And do it. Your one-up business training course is going to make you succeed. Just be brave, be confident, believe in yourself. Today, education is not just a piece of a paper
called a certificate. Education today is to empower you to be what you want to be. It is an honor to me to have this opportunity of congratulating you for your success.
Let's hear some other graduates of the course who are now running highly successful and profitable businesses have to say about their achievements. Frank Fredericks is a building contractor operating in Cape Town townships.
I wanted to be more creative. I wanted to do things on my own. I wanted to be my own boss, and I decided to take the gap. I did the course at IBTT, and after that, things really started moving for me. I've got a unique system that they've trained me in to do the things that will make you successful in your business. That is the gap that I took by saying to myself that the job costing that I learned at IBTT and going out there and pricing your material, pricing your labor, making sure that you can still make a reasonable profit. That's where I took the gap. At the moment, I've got 8 artisans and laborers working for me. They've each got families. They also share in the profits that I make, which is another edge or another gap that I've given them to take. One has got to be patient. You've got to persevere, which is very important. It's no use giving up. It's hard when you start, but it's nice when you end off at the end of the day. If you think what I have done by having 8 people in my employ, putting things back into the community. If all of you people would go out there and do the same, just imagine what it would do for this new South Africa.
If you want to be like Frank, be a success, use your new thought, skill, and the business will be back. You know that's what you want, and there's one way to go, and that's to take your gap and go for it. Go for it. You gotta pick your gap and go for it.
My message to you is this. You have done it, but you must know that it's not for you alone. To me today, you are a candle on the top of the table that has light, and you must make it a point that the light that you are today on the table goes down to your brothers and sisters down there who are still in the darkness.
Musi Kumalo runs a highly successful and a very popular English-only creche in Soweto. She has created employment for 2 other teachers and a cook. The little ones just love her, and she loves them.
I can't imagine myself doing any other thing. This is the only thing that I feel I'm good at, in loving kids and teaching kids. So there's just no other job that could take my job except teaching kids. I started alone, but now I've got about 3 other people, the staff. I've got the cook, the helper who's helping us with cooking. I've got 2 other teachers who are educated, actually who are qualified, who studied education and childcare. So this helps promote the standards of the creche, I'd say, because they know what is supposed to be done. And most of all, I found that they've got the same qualities which I needed. They had love and they're so sweet for kids. You understand? They understood the kids and they knew what was needed. Ulwazi lalento yenzayo nokubekezela yiko kwenza ukuthi umuntu aphumelele kuko konke akwenzayo. Nothando yiko okwenza ukuthi kubumbe umuntu emsebenzini wakhe awenzayo.
To start won't be easy, but just take heed. With courage and hope, you will definitely succeed. You know what you want, and there's one way to go, and that's to take the gap and go for it. Go for it. Go for it. You got to take your gap and go for it.
Now that you have started with your career, go on. Don't stop. Fulfill your ambitions. I know the fact that you were able to go up to the level in which you are, it's because you have a vision. You are looking forward for something more.
Elias Pilan is an expert photographer who has a studio and a photographic shop in Hillbrow, Johannesburg. Although Elias has been a highly creative photographer for many years, it was the Trident one-up business course that made him the professional that he is today.
One has to start somewhere. One has to have a vision. One has to have a goal. Because if you don't have a vision, you don't have a goal, then you can't start. To start with, you've got to know what you want to do before you can start doing something. And then from there, you've got to follow your dreams. Without determination, you can't do it. Without a will, you can't do it. You must have a strong willpower for anything you do. You've got to be creative. You've got to compete. See that somebody is doing this and the other one is doing this. They don't do this. So you've got to do what they are not doing, or you've got to do it better. Before I started with IBTT, the way I used to run business, because I'm professional in a sense that I didn't record anything, the money I spent, or whatever I buy, or whatever I gain or lose. I didn't know whether I'm gaining or losing. It was just a matter of just operating, doing the business, you see. I didn't know at least how much have I made, let's say within a week's time or a day's time. I was just to take the money, and at the same time, that money, I didn't know that I've got to have a special money or separate money for my business or for my wages or salary, whatever. It was just one thing. I used to say, this is my money and it ends there. Whenever I spend it, I didn't care how I spend it. I've got a direction now. I know where I'm going. I'd like to have a really big studio. For the fact that I've been learning this field, I don't see that I can go away from it.
You've got the education, the knowledge, and the skills. Now show determination. You got cash in your till. If that's what you want, there's one way to go, and that's to take a gap and go for it. Go for it. Go for it. You gotta take that gap and go for it.
Margaret Flaggett has the only butchery in Makaya, Kailicha, Cape Town. Her closest competitors are in Mitchell's Plain, about 10 kilometers away. It would never have occurred to her to start a butchery if she hadn't taken the Trident Township MBA at IBTT in Cape Town.
I like selling. I like talking to the people. I know how to organize my clients. I know how to talk to the clients. That is straight from school. Then from school, I used to work for a doctor. So I know how to talk to the patient. I know how to approach the people. So that's why I said to myself, I like business more than anything. And I know business, it's the way to success. I did study before I go to IBTT, but I didn't know what must I do. Like IBTT teach me how to run the business, how to take the stock, how to investigate. When I see that something is stuck in my shop, I know what to do. By that, I know where do I buy my stock. I know how to price my stock. And then from there, I have to make the specials so that my stock is going. The only thing that a person needs is a confidence. You must be confident. Whatever you do, you must say to yourself, I'm going to win. I'm going to do it. If you've got that word, just do it. Start it now.
Think I'm going to win, then set out to do it, and then you will win, and you really will do it. If you've got that attitude, then there's one way to go, and that's to take your gap and go for it. Got to take the gap. That's the gap. Now,
So go out there. Give it everything you've got. Because believe me, you've got it. By passing this course, you've already proved it. I'm going to leave you with the final word of encouragement from one of the finest mothers of our nation, Albertina Sisulu.
who the people will encourage you whenever you want help. You will get help. Hence, we can see that you have initiative. You can do more.
Okay. What did you think? Comments? Did you hear it all right? Hello? Were you able to hear the video and watch okay? Was there any problem? Hello, is anybody there?
Can't really hear you.
Can't hear me. What happened? Could you hear the video? Were you able to hear the video?
Oh, you're asking about the
Can you come?
Yes, we heard the video. Everything was clear.
Okay.
It's just you speaking now. We can't hear it.
Try something. Can you hear me now? No. Spangaliso, are you saying you can hear me now?
You're low, your volume is still low. I was saying yes, we heard the video.
Oh, you heard the video. Okay, okay.
Yes.
Okay. I wonder why my volume has got low.
How now?
Is it okay now?
Yes.
Okay, great, great. Any comment about the video? I mean, do you think it's useful? Would you show it to other people?
I'd say it was very useful because after everything we learned, it's just that extra motivation that it's time we go for it now with all the knowledge we have. There's no more reason for holding back. Let's just go for it. And we know how to plan, we know how to order and even to make calculations for us not to make a loss while doing business. So I think it's just time to go for it. It's really motivating.
Hallelujah, that's wonderful to hear. Ah, lovely, thanks, Kwando. Anyone else, any comment? Yeah? Not at the moment, okay. I want you to imagine. No? Excuse me, Nolwazi? Hello, I can't hear you.
I didn't want to be. I never give up.
Never give up. That's great. That's great. Keep trying, keep trying. That is the answer. Success is about getting up one more time than you fall down. Doesn't matter how often you fail or how often you make mistakes, doesn't matter. As long as you get up afterwards and you dust yourself off and you keep going, you will win. You will win. That's great. I want you to imagine an old man on an island. He's on the island because he has been locked up because of what he believes. And he's been on that island for many years. Can I ask you, who do you think about when I say that? This old man on the island, and maybe it's possible that he could think that he will probably die on the island. Who would you think about if I said that to you? Does anybody come to your mind? Hello? Yes, Siabonga says Nelson Mandela. Isn't that right? We tend to think about that. But you know what? Yes, Baba Mandela. Yes, Baba Mandela. Yes. Lovely. You know what? I'm not talking about him now. I'm talking about somebody who sounds a lot like him, but I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about a guy who wrote 3 letters that are now in what we call the Bible. He wrote 3 letters that are right near the back of the Bible. His name is John. John. John was a friend of Jesus. Really a friend. He was close to him. You know, there were many people who followed Jesus, but there were only 12 who were really close to him. And out of the 12, there were 3 who were closer to him than the other 12, than the other 9. And they were Peter, James, and John. But if you think about it, at the Last Supper, who was leaning on Jesus' shoulder? It was John. Who was standing at the cross when Jesus was on the cross, and he said, would you please look after my mother? Who did he say that to? John. Now, John ended up being locked up on this prison, on this island called Patmos. Patmos. It doesn't matter what the name of the island is, but that is what it is. And John was 93 years old, even older than me, hey? And John believed that he was going to die on this island, that he would never, ever get off the island. Now, John had some friends. They were friends of his because he had introduced them to Jesus. After Jesus went away, they were introduced to him, and they formed little house churches. There were 10 little house churches around a place called Asia Minor, and these were friends of John. Now you can imagine that if this man believes that he's going to die, he wants to talk to these people before he dies. He wants to write to them whatever he can think of that is really, really important. And there was one thing that John wanted to say to his friends that, you know, nobody else had ever understood before him. Nobody had understood it. If you read the Bible from Genesis to Revelation, there are 66 books in there, 39 in the Old Testament, 27 in the New Testament. You will look, you will read, and you won't find this truth. Only John really understood this. And he wanted to tell this thing to his friends. He wanted them to understand and to be happy and to glorify, just to enjoy the fact that God is love. That's what he wanted to tell them. You won't find that anywhere else in the Bible. God is love. And as he started writing, he starts his first letter in a very interesting way. This old man, he's in prison because of his faith, but he starts his letter by saying to them, hey, I wish you guys could be as happy as me. What? Hang on a second. You're in prison. You're probably going to die there. How can you talk about being as happy as, I don't want to be where you are. But John says to them, no. I wish you could experience the same joy that I've got. And that this joy would just bubble up inside you. That would be a nice letter to get, hey? So John's writing to them and he starts by saying that. And he wants to tell them, I'm excited because I want to tell you that God is love. But you know what? He realizes that he can't just tell them that God is love. It doesn't gel. You can't experience that unless you first understand some other things about God. If you want to know that God is love, everybody would like to know that. Everybody would like to believe that. Everybody would like to experience in their life a God who is pure love. But John says, in order to have such an experience, in order to have that joy that bubbles up inside you, because you know that God is love, in order to know that, you have to start by understanding something else first. And the something else first that you have to understand is this thing that I'm putting up in front of you now, that says that God is light. Hang on, you want to say that God is love? Yes, I do. But first I want you to understand that to get near enough to experience the love of God in a way that makes you experience such joy, you have to understand that God is light, and in him there is no darkness at all. Now that's quite a statement. Why am I sharing this with you? I'll show you in a moment. There was a guy called Plato, who was one of these Greek people, one of these philosophers, and about 200 or 300 years before John, he said this to his followers: one can easily understand a child who is afraid of the dark. The real tragedy of life is when grown men and women are afraid of the light. What does it mean to be afraid of the light? John is saying God is light. Plato is saying to us, grown men and women can be afraid of the light. What does light do? It reveals things. When the light shines on you, you can see if your face is dirty, you can see in the mirror. You can see if maybe your clothes are not pressed. The light shows people the truth. The light shows people who you really are. The real tragedy is when grown men and women are afraid to show people who they really are, who are afraid of the light. And so John says, because we tend to be afraid of the light, we cannot experience the truth that God is love. We can talk about it, we can hear sermons about it, we can sing songs in church about it, but to really experience the truth that God is love, and to rest in that, and to be excited about that, to experience that, we have to accept the fact first that God is light, but we are afraid of the light. So what do? John says what we tend to do is we run away from the light. So he says to the people, the first step that we take is if we say that we have fellowship with him, yet we walk in the darkness, we take step number one, we begin to lie. We lie. We do not practice the truth. That doesn't sound good. Do you lie? Oh, I spent most of my life lying. It took me about 40 years in my life to understand that I couldn't play at being a Christian. I used to lie. By lying, I don't mean I deliberately lied. I mean, I used to pretend to be something that I'm not. I used to wear the right mask, you know, so that when you look at me, you would say, oh, Cedric's a good Christian. But inside, even though I was a Christian, I'd given my life to Christ when I was 11 years old, even though I was preaching in churches, even though I was singing in front of thousands of people with my little guitar, even though all those things were true, I was wearing a mask. I was actually just pretending to be something that I wasn't. We lie. That's what we tend to do because we're afraid that if I showed you who I really am, you might not like me. You might not approve of me. John says that's not where it stops. Remember, he wants to tell us that God is love, but he's preparing us for that truth. So he says, we first got to understand these things. So he says, if we're not careful, we will take the second step into self-deception. And the second step is 2 verses further on. If we say that we're okay, if we say that we have no sin, we deceive ourselves. We start believing our own lies. And the truth is not in us. Wow. You know, there was a time in my life when I used to preach quite a lot in churches and in rallies and things like that. And there were many people who became Christians when I was preaching. There were people who got healed, filled with the Holy Spirit. All sorts of things happened. And because that was happening, because of these people who were coming to Christ, because of all the good things that happened in the meetings, I didn't ever think it was necessary for me to take off my mask and to admit that I was struggling with things. I just wore the mask. By that I mean is when you are called pastor, when you are the preacher, when you are the teacher, people expect you to have the answers. And if you're not careful, you start believing that you've got all the answers. I've got many friends. I've had many friends over the years who are pastors, and I know how many of them really struggle because they really don't have the answers, but they've got to pretend to have the answers because they're called pastor. They're called bishop. They're called apostle. They're called something. John says, be careful. There are 3 steps we take. One is we lie. We just cover up. We do things that we don't want other people to know about. You know, Walking in darkness means there are things in our lives that are hidden. There are things that we read, things that we do that other people don't know about, and we don't want them to ever find out because they would not approve of us if they knew. So we lie. And then we start believing our own lies. We start believing that I'm okay and people shouldn't really do the things that I do, but it's different for me. And then in verse 10 of the first chapter of John at the back of the Bible, he says, if we say that we're okay, we keep pretending, then we make him a liar. So we don't just lie, we don't just believe our own lies. We actually end up by saying, God, you're wrong. We make him a liar and his word is not in us. Now that's quite serious. And John is dying. He wants to say, God is love, and he wants us to experience that. He doesn't want it to be a theoretical thing. He doesn't want it to be a verse in somebody's Bible or something. He really wants his friends to know that God is love. But he's talking about this stuff because it's real, because see, this is where his friends live. But I'm so glad that this is not all that he said. You can see that's verse 6, verse 8, and verse 10. There are 2 verses in between that give us a solution. Listen to what the solution is. You guys, I've got a feeling from you, I've got some words that you've spoken that suggest to me that you know what I'm talking about. You know about church, you know about Jesus, you know about the Bible. Now, I want to tell you, listen to what John has to say. Listen to how simple it is. He says there's a solution. Here is the solution. Here is what God wants from you, what he wants from me, so that he can be to us the God who is love. So that we can get close enough to him to experience that love. Here is how you get there. He says, if we walk in the light as he is in the light, 2 things will happen. What does walking in the light mean? It means, you know what? I will tell you whatever you want to know. I won't hide anything from you. I will not cover up. I will not pretend to be something that I'm not. I don't mind. I've told you I've made many, many mistakes. I've done many things wrong. I'm not proud of them. But I also am not going to hide them away. I'm going to talk about them. I'm going to share them with you. We don't have enough time together for me to share all those things with you. You wouldn't like it anyway. There's just too many. What I'm saying is I'm prepared to. I don't care who knows what about me. I don't. Because I believe this. He says, if we walk in the light as he is in the light, 2 things will happen. The first thing that will happen is we will have fellowship with one another. You know what? If I'm lying and you lying, we will never have fellowship. If I'm pretending and I'm wearing a mask and you don't really know who's behind that mask, even if it's a good religious mask, and if you are trying to wear the same mask or a different mask, we will never have fellowship with one another. But if we take our masks off, if we say the truth, if we speak the truth to each other, if we walk in the light with each other, we will have fellowship with one another. And by the way, the blood of Jesus, his son, will cleanse us from all sin. It can't be that simple. Yes, it is. It is that simple. He doesn't say if we go to church very often, if we go to lots of meetings, if we pray a lot, if we read the Bible a lot, if we sing lots of songs, if we witness to lots of, he doesn't say anything like that. He says all that the Lord wants from us is he wants us to be honest. Hello? All that God wants from you is he wants you to tell the truth. Be honest. When you make a mistake, say, I made a mistake. Don't say, oh no, it wasn't my fault, it was something else. No, just, it was my fault. I'm sorry. I was wrong. If we walk in the light, as he's in the light, we will have fellowship with one another. And by the way, wow. By the way, the blood of Jesus continually cleanses us from all sin. And then 2 verses later on, he spells it out. Just tell it like it is. When you do something wrong, admit it. If we confess our sins, he's faithful and just to forgive us and to cleanse us from whatever is inside us that makes us want to do those things. I came to the place where I had to realize at the age of 40 that, you know what? I sin because I like it. What? I sin because I like it. It's nice. What? True. I don't like the consequences. I don't like what happens inside me. But the truth is, sin is attractive. It's lekker. And when you start admitting that, for example, that actually I do this thing because I like it. Now, it makes me feel bad. It makes me feel uncomfortable, but I like it. If I can admit that, I'm starting to walk in the light. I'm starting to tell the truth. Nobody forces me to do wrong things. Nobody twists my arm and forces me. I do it because I want to. And here's the promise that if we acknowledge that, he doesn't just forgive us, he starts cleaning us out from the inside and changing us from the inside so that we don't actually want to do those things anymore. That's just awesome. Now, if we're going to be effective as trainers, if we're going to help other people, please listen to the warning from John. Please don't pretend that you are the expert. Don't pretend that you know everything. If somebody asks you a question and you don't know the answer, you know what? Just say to them, I'm sorry, I don't know, but I will try and find out for you. You know what? That person will respect you far more. You will have more fellowship with that person than if you pretend to have all the answers and then later on they find out that you were just talking and it doesn't work. You will be much more effective. You don't have to be the expert at everything. I certainly am not. I just know that I've made enough mistakes to know what doesn't work in this particular thing that I'm talking to you about. This is exciting stuff. And you see, what you believe will have consequences in your life. Serious. What you believe will have results, real results in your life. If you believe you have to become more religious in order to know God, the result will be that you will get exhausted. Because religion sucks the life out of you. Seriously. Religion doesn't help anybody. It really imposes some rules on you that you try to keep, and you do your best, and you promise to try harder, and you make promises to God and to other people, and you can't keep them. But if you believe that the solution is a much simpler solution, just walk in the light. Just be honest. Tell the truth. Just take off the mask. Don't pretend. If you don't know something, just admit that you don't know it. And then you will find that life becomes a lot simpler. And believing that will take the stress out of your life. Stress is like working hard for something that you don't like. Passion is working for something that you love doing. What you believe will have consequences in your life. I want to offer this to you. I want you to consider holding on to whatever you think is worthwhile holding on to. Don't just believe everything that I tell you. Maybe some things are not right. Maybe they're hard to understand. But if there's anything that I've shared with you, especially now this morning, that you think is really true, it's really worthwhile, hold on to it. Think about it. I've said to you, for example, last week I said to you, if you don't know what your goals are, you will never achieve your goals. If you don't have a vision, you won't have any direction. You won't know which way to go. So how can you be effective? I suggested to you that you write down on bits of paper words that you would love to hear from your life partner in 10 years' time. And if he or she spoke those words, you would feel great, you would feel blessed, you would feel wonderful, because they describe the best version of Siyabonga, of Spati, of Smangaliso. What about your child? What would you like to hear? What about the other people in the community? What would you like to hear? What about the people who really need your help? The all busy. You remember the all busy? Those people in the workbooks? What would you like to hear from them in 10 years' time? If you have a goal, if you have a vision for your life, if you have a picture in your life of what such a person might look like, if you have something inside you that says, yes, I would feel wonderful if I heard those words, then that gives you direction. Then you get a goal, then you get a purpose, and your life becomes purpose-driven. Think about these things. Consider them. If they're true, it could add a lot of value to you. If they're not true, throw them away. But don't just ignore them, because this might be the reason that you came on this course. Possibly. Only you know. Only you can answer the question. So it's up to you. Now, I want to say that I don't share the same things with everybody on every course. I don't. You can go onto the Google Drive And you'll find there are 2 trainers' manuals. The one that you've already got that you're aware of, where you read those 13 pages. And there's another one that is full of stuff that I share on different courses. And there's even more. There's some things that are not yet in that trainer's manual, but there's a lot in there. And if you go in there, you will find this session that I've shared with you now about John and about walking in the light. It's in there. But there are many other things in there. And the only thing that I know to do, I don't know you well. Spati, I hardly know you at all. I like you, but I hardly know you. Wanamusa, Shabonga, Belile, Smangaliso, Alwazi. I know your names. I've had some discussions with you. I've had some WhatsApp messages, but I don't know you. So how do I know what's right to share with you? How do I know what to say? The answer is I don't. So what do? I talk to my Father. I talk to God. Because He knows you. He knows you. And I ask Him to please give me wisdom. I ask Him to take away from my mind things that I should not share with you. And I ask Him to emphasize, to bring to my mind whatever I should share with you guys. All I can tell you, and I'm being honest with you, I cannot tell you 100% sure that what I shared with you in the last half hour is exactly right. But I want it to be. And I have prayed for you. I have, by name, each of you. And I've asked the Lord to help me to share the right things. So if there's something in you that says, you know, I need to hear this, I need it, then please keep it, treasure it, think about it. If you want to, you feel free to talk to me about it. Let me know. I don't mind. You don't have to. But it's up to you. Do you have any questions about what I've just been sharing? Is there anything that you'd like to share yourself? Anything you'd like to say? Anything you'd like to ask? This would be a good time to do that. We're kind of getting to the place now where we're going to run out of time. But use this moment. Is there anything at all that you'd like to say? Anything you'd like to ask? Anything that you want to contribute? Belile? Thank you for the...
Nothing. Now, I was getting my
I'm so sorry, Buti. I can't hear you. But if there is anything, type it on the chat. Just say whatever you would like to say, please. Mangaliso, I hear you. Nothing so far. That's a good, honest response. Belile, anything? Is there something you would like to share with us? You can put it on the chat. You can say it to everyone if you want to. Anybody else have anything to say? That would also be fine. Thanks, Wanamusa. Thanks for that comment. Please do complete those. Thank you, Spati. I'll come back to you in a moment. Let me just say, please do complete those evaluation forms. Thanks, Velile. I appreciate those words too. Do complete those evaluation forms. And maybe do write on there what you're going to do after this course, because we had this time together. Are there things that you will apply in your life that you will share with other people? Yeah, Spati, was there something you would like to say? It sounded like you were going to say something a moment ago. Hi, Spati, no? Okay. Thanks, Yabonga. Thanks for the comment. Appreciate that. I think that before the power just goes off here, and I'm going to lose at least 2 of you. Yeah, there we go. The power's gone off there for some people. We should close now. And we'll see each other at 11:30 tomorrow morning. I will make this recording available for anybody who wants it, and I'll send you the link so that you can watch it. You can show it to other people if you want to, but especially for Silindile, because she's not here now. So we'll do that. We'll see you in the morning. I'm going to stop the recording now, and then we'll just close up.